All right, welcome to another edition of Hops and Houses. I'm Robert Ring.
And I'm Valerie Kroll.
And today we're at Side Gate Brewery and Beer Garden, and this is a new place that recently opened up in Concord, California. And it's really cool. You'll see another video on our channel here where we just walked through with the owners and they showed us the tanks they've got in here and how they started and what they're working on. But a very much needed and highly desired addition to the Concord scene. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm super pumped to have these guys here, to be honest with you, because it's like I used to live downtown and I know what this space used to be, and what these guys have done to it is just beautiful.
Yep.
And the fact that, I mean, the guys will talk about it, but these tables were made out of the boards from the second floor, which they've taken out to get the tanks in here, and they're making beer here. They used to be home brewers, and now it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So what are you drinking there?
Okay, so today...
You got through yours already.
Well, this is such a good beer. I've had it like multiple times here now. This is the Belgian Picnic, and it is a Saison, 5.5% alcohol. The description is crisp, dry farmhouse ale, and that's really how it drinks. It's really nice. It's not bitter. I think it tastes like true to a Saison. It's very clear, as you can see. It's a very enjoyable, beer to drink during the day. You could have several of these and be just fine.
And I've got the first round draft, which they came up with the name doing the football pool, which I love because I'm a fantasy football fan. Even though OJ's Broncos, I don't know how we're going to do this year. But they call it a robust lager, which is a good description for it. It's almost a little pale ale-y. It's a 5.4, and they're using noble hops to bump this up because it's really got a lot more flavor than your normal lager.
I've had that and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good beer.
Yeah, it's my second favorite here. So right now they have 6 beers on tap, but they have 16 taps, and they're working up towards that. Obviously, they're brewing the beer that they're pouring here, right? And they have to brew it on site. But the 6 beers they've got at the moment, you've got the first round draft, which is the robust lager. They've got one called Emu Egg, which is a New Zealand pale ale. They've got a Hefeweizen, the Saison, which I have. Of course, they have a juicy IPA and a West Coast IPA. Really nice selection of beers, especially for only starting with 6. And I am very grateful that they didn't dominate the menu with hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
Because that happens everywhere else in the world.
And they've got a really nice selection. There's something for everybody here.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the new place that we're at and the beer we're drinking, what is the topic for today?
Well, the topic for today is, and this is a good one because we're starting to hear a lot about it. You're starting to hear, wait till all these foreclosures hit the market, and
wait till the sky falls.
Wait till the sky falls. And I'm going to tell you why the sky is not going to fall right now. Now, it may fall down the line, but it's not going to be and I'll tell you the reasons it's not going to be. And it's not going to be one of the biggest problems here in the Bay Area, which is what's driving this market, is in the San Francisco Bay Area, for every 4.4 jobs we create, we issue 1 housing permit.
Oh.
Mathematically speaking, we go backwards 1 housing unit for every 4.4 jobs we create.
Yeah, that's not enough.
And that's been going on for a while. So that's what the issue is. We don't have enough housing, and we haven't had enough housing because we've talked about this before. We haven't built them. We're
California's been so far behind on housing starts for over a decade. Newsom just signed a bill that's going to allow people to split single-family homes into multiple units. And people are saying, it's a bad bill, a developer's bill. But, it's like you've got to do things to allow more housing starts in California, and that's a great first step. Another big first step that has happened a few years ago was allowing the addition of multiple ADUs with very little restrictions. ADU is an in-law unit, it stands for additional dwelling unit, onto single-family residences, whereas previously you could do that, but it was kind of hard, and a lot of localities, cities and counties would make it difficult through unnecessary regulations. And California stripped all those, and now you're seeing a lot of ADUs, in-law units being built. Now hopefully we'll see some more housing starts. But to Val's point, you cannot just get rid of demand. When you've got a supply shortage that didn't happen overnight, that's been around for over 10 years. You just can't make that up, right?
Oh, exactly. And, it's kind of funny. I was just sitting here thinking the term ADU, which always used to be in-law, I'd never heard that term till I was working with the Property Brothers, and they built an ADU I worked with them in 2017, so
Yeah.
4 years ago. They built one into one of the deals that they were doing, and he goes, ADU, and I'm like, okay, I'm nodding like I know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, ADU, ADU, ADU. Oh, my goodness.
Thankfully, the term in-law unit doesn't offend people, but I think it scares some when they think about
Their in-laws living.
their in-laws moving into their house.
Yeah, I get that.
No, people are confused often when I say ADU. What? In-law? So yeah.
So that's what's driving it. It's not being driven by a lot of other things that could be driving our market. It's being driven by demand. We don't have enough houses here.
Yes.
So what changes that? Well, one of the things that we hear a lot about is, the bubble. And I always say, and I'm going to say it again here, a bubble is like an aneurysm. It's a fundamental flaw in the... you don't just have an aneurysm. I'll be sitting here all day and I will not have an aneurysm today because I don't have a fundamental flaw in a blood vessel. And that's what that is. And then it bursts. That's your burst bubble. Now you get a disaster on your hands. Well, that's exactly what happened before. The difference is that people, in order to get a loan right now, you actually have to have a job and money. And I mean, you get verified to the point that it's like, a strip search would be easier.
Yeah, and there are other, it's not to say that we're in a perfect market. I mean, you would agree that there are flaws in the market.
Oh, there's flaws in the market. There always is.
And people will point to, foreclosures are going to start, eviction moratorium is going to be up, and the concern is that one thing is going to tip and 1,000 dominoes are going to fall and the world's going to come crashing down. But right now, people have capacity, ability to purchase, capabilities to buy. I talk to people all the time that have a lot of money in the bank. They're making great money still. They have good credit, and rates are still low, which means they can still afford to purchase things. And so, I posted this on my Facebook, so you may have seen it if you follow me there. But there's still demand and capacity in the market. So there's demand, people need and want the homes, and there's not enough of them. And there's capacity, people have the ability to purchase. There's loans available. There's a great product array that's available for people to purchase with low down payment options, and people have the money to do so. And the low interest rates spur on that capability. And for that reason, I don't think we'll see a foreclosure wave. However, there's always foreclosures in every market. They've been stalled for a little bit because of what's been going on for the last couple of years. But the question that I've gotten many times, and Valerie is really knowledgeable about, which we're going to talk about now, is how do you buy a foreclosed property? We'll get clients that come into us and they go, I think I want to buy a foreclosure. They have a lot of great ideas, and you kind of put them all on the whiteboard and go, okay, that's the one you want, right? But they come with great ideas. So let's talk about how do you buy a foreclosure? What does that process look like? Do you get a good deal when you buy a foreclosure? Is it something you would advise people to buy? Val hasn't answered a lot of these questions because the first 2 years of her, the second half of her career, I don't want to say career in real estate, she's been in real estate for over 3 decades now, but as a licensed real estate agent, prior to that it was in title. First 2 years as a licensed real estate agent, she was doing nothing but helping a developer buy foreclosures.
No, I was a buyer's agent for a foreclosure broker. So
okay, tell us about what you did and how that works.
So basically, when the bank assigns the foreclosures to a broker to sell, but they won't let that broker double end the transaction. So he hires buyer's agents under him to handle that part. We pay him a rip on what we get off of that, and we take all his leads. He doesn't lose those leads. Now that guy could have never followed up on his leads because I did the math and I figured we were between me and the other buyer's agents, we were probably carrying 100 listings to 125 listings all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It
and
is
what
a
year
lot.
was this?
That was starting in 2008, 2009, and 2010.
So you would represent buyers to buy these listings that were bank-owned properties. So
Yes.
this is kind of like post-foreclosure. The bank owns it, and now they want to sell it.
Well, that's part of the misnomers. People don't understand when they say, I want to buy a foreclosure. Well, then you're going to go to the courthouse steps. You're going to have a cashier's check for the amount you're going to pay, and you're going to hand that to the trustee who's crying the sale on the courthouse steps.
And how is that different from a bank taking over a property and selling it themselves?
Now, if a bank takes over a property and sells it themselves, I can come in, get into contract. I got 30 days. I can do my inspections. I can negotiate. I had one house, we negotiated $125,000 off the purchase price. Granted, we started at $900,000 and we ended up paying, I think, $775,000 for it. because we found, mold, asbestos, you name it. We did every inspection in the book, and we found everything because it was an old house. But you can do that. When you buy it on a courthouse steps, number one, you can't get inside of it, so you don't know what the inside looks like. And number two, you can't do any inspection. So if you get in there and find out that the whole house has been chewed up by termites, and if they ever quit holding hands, it's going to fall down.
So this is true sight unseen.
Yeah, it really is sight unseen. Whereas when you buy it off the MLS as a what's called an REO, which is real estate owned, which is a line item on a financial statement for a bank, that's where that term comes from. It is a foreclosed property, but you have a couple of chances to not get screwed.
Yeah. So what's the difference? Like, in what situations does a home get sold on the courthouse steps to somebody that's never seen it before, that has a cashier's check in their hands, versus the bank takes it over and sells it on the open market?
Well, what happens is the first thing they try to do is get it sold on the courthouse steps. And that process has changed a little bit recently because everything's going on. But basically, systematically, it's the same, where they cry to sale in one way or another. It's an auction. You put your bid in, either you get it or you don't. And then it's yours.
And can you get a good deal doing that?
Oh yeah, but you have to come in with all cash. So say, you're trying to get a good deal on a house in Concord that should sell for $800. You're going to be fighting against some investors who know what they're doing. They've been out there and peeked through the windows just like you do. And maybe if the person was still in the house, they got to come in and look at it or something like that. We don't know. But they also have the means, whereas you're throwing your whole $600,000.
Okay, so to be able to do this, to be able to buy a foreclosure and get a good deal, you have to have A, a lot of money, liquidity, you got to be really liquid, and B, take on a lot of risk. Do I understand that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so then that's the first way to buy a foreclosure. The second way is when the bank takes it over and sells it themselves on the open market, not on the courthouse steps. In that situation, you get a loan, do your inspections, etc. In a situation like that, are you getting any better deal than if you went and bought a house owned by John Smith?
It really depends. A lot of times those tend to be the ugly houses.
Yep.
So you're going to be competing against investors, but investors all have spreadsheets they work with.
Yep.
And they have a number, and it's usually 22. That I know that number.
22% margin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a healthy margin on a flip.
Yeah, and if they're not seeing 22% margin, they're out. So you might be able to go in and come in with 15% margin, which is fine because you're a contractor and you can fix it and it'll be fine, And it's like, yeah, you can get a deal that way because a lot of buyers today want it pretty and they want it done, and they're busy, they have busy lives, they don't want to do the work. So there is opportunity there. I'm not saying there's an opportunity, but it's like if it doesn't sell on the courthouse steps, the bank takes it out back and then they assign it out. That's the other way. Now, here's the interesting thing. I ran some numbers.
Okay.
Because I'm like that. And gosh, I wish I left the piece of paper at home, but I remember the percentages. But between 2008 and 2009, there was 42,000 homes sold in our MLS. And I used the Contra Costa MLS and Bay East, which is the two MLSs that cover the Bay Area. And there was 42,000 homes sold. Of those 42,000, 17,000 of them were foreclosed bank-owned properties.
Wow.
That's 41%.
Okay.
So then I ran the same number over the same period of time, which would take us to 2019, which would be pre-COVID, by the way. And the percentage was
4%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the historical percentage is 5.
Okay.
So it's been 4%. Currently in the market, there are 3 active bank-owned properties in the entire Bay Area.
3. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Now, when it comes to financing on a foreclosed property, it's not any different than we look at any other property. We still look at the 4 C's. What are they? Credit, collateral, capacity, and it's like this. It's alliteration they make. We look at income, assets, credit, and collateral, the property, right? Those are the four things. I don't know what the fourth C is though. But we look at the same thing. It's no different, right? But we cannot get you a loan, I guess, in such a way where you can walk up to the courthouse steps with like a cash check from us and hand it over to the clerk, I guess.
Because you're missing the C that is collateral at that point.
Yeah. We got to do the appraisal, all the other important things on that property.
Yeah. So you have to actually go through the process of buying. Now the beauty of that is if you get into it and you're like, hey man, there's this terrible leak on the second floor and all the ceiling needs to be taken out on the first floor and the floor needs to be replaced and it's $25,000 worth of damage, you can negotiate that with the bank. On the courthouse steps, that baby's yours.
It's done. So are you expected to close escrow that day? Do you have to give them the check that day, or do you give them a deposit, or how do you hold it? Because they can't expect people to have like briefcases of cash. They go back and, I mean, how does that process work?
Basically, you're supposed to bring a check for what you're going to pay for it.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you have a check for $700,000, but your winning bid was $630, you just give it to them. They give you the rest back.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that
It's
part
like,
works.
but it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's no prelim.
No, you don't get a prelim.
There's no pre-escrow open.
No, as a matter of fact, we used to, when I was at the title company, we used to get calls from people wanting us to run property that was on the courthouse steps to see what was going to be wiped out by the foreclosure.
And can you do that?
Yeah.
And then like the foreclosure wipes everything out.
Except for tax liens with the federal government.
Oh, those don't get wiped out. So if you buy a house with tax liens, you inherit those tax liens.
Yeah, you do.
No way. So
Yeah.
like if they were going after somebody and they foreclosed on their home, that tax lien would stop following that person and it would stay on that piece of property until it's
No, it
satisfied?
does both.
It does both.
They're the feds.
But when it
They just cover everything.
when it transfers hands though, the county doesn't look at the liens against it and pay off those liens if one of them is a federal lien?
Well, the county doesn't pay anything off. All that happens is that the second position,
Just goes through priority of payoff?
yeah, all the way down. But if there's a IRS lien in there, no, that baby sticks with you. That's the biggie.
It doesn't get paid off from any of the proceeds, even if there was equity.
Right.
Wow. Okay, I guess be careful about that if
Yeah.
you're watching this and you're about to go do that. So
Yeah. So you want to know. I mean, it's easy enough. There's website where you could go run the official record and run the guy's name and find out if there's a giant tax lien on there.
Totally.
But yeah, it needs to be. I mean, you can hold it with that tax lien on there, but the minute you start to sell it, needs to be paid.
Yeah.
Because it's going to turn up.
So we've got a lot of ways to find you good deals, great deals, things that fit your needs, whether you're an investor, to buy and hold, flip a property, develop, or live in it, sleep at night in the house that you want to live in. We have a totally different criteria if that's what you're looking for, because there's other things that are really important, like affordability. Does it fit your family's needs, geographically, size-wise, etc. These are all questions and answers that we go through during our buyer consultations. But I think that's we kind of covered the hot, juicy topic of the day.
Well, let me just take this one step further.
Right.
One of the things I get a lot is, especially with bank-owned properties that are coming back on the market, and of course not so much with we're going to probably see about a 2% pop is what I'm expecting. So it'll probably be 5 or 6% once the foreclosures start working their way through.
Yeah.
But like I said, this team has seen that before, and they're not going to let 2008, 2009, 2010 happen again. They're just not going to.
No.
Because they know what went into that. So will there be a few foreclosures? Yeah. I believe the Morgan Stanley number was 1.9% were in forbearance still. Which is not a lot, and if all 1.9% of the market that was in forbearance failed, then it would go up to 5, maybe 6%.
Yeah.
But what I get a lot of is veterans, because, they're handy guys and they know how to do stuff, and they've been in the service and they've had to, put a tank back together with, some bubble gum and a fishing line and that kind of stuff. So it
sounds like Apollo 13.
It pretty much
Apollo
is.
11 or the movies. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The funny thing about that is that's not that unusual. Those guys get in situations.
Yeah.
They're very
They can
resourceful.
MacGyver stuff.
Yeah, they MacGyver it.
Yeah.
So when they look at a house, they're like, "This is no problem." But the house won't go VA. And that's because the Veterans Administration believes, and I agree with them to a point, that a veteran has served our country and therefore they're entitled to a good, livable home. And how they define that is, I've had problems with cracked roof tiles. I've had to replace cracked roof tiles. Peeling paint on the exterior or the interior of the house is a no-go. The appliances all have to work. It has to be a nice house.
Yeah, there cannot be functional obsolescence or deferred maintenance are the big things, meaning things that are supposed to work that don't, and things that are going to have to be repaired very soon. Peeling paint is kind of specific, I think, on when the house was built, because we look at lead-based paint as a safety hazard, and all government loans would require lead-based peeling paint prior to 1978, I believe, to be repaired. It used to be that VA loans had to have complete termite clearance. That's not so much the case anymore. It's underwriter discretion, but you do need a termite report. But not everything has to be clear on the termite report every time anymore, which is nice. That gives a little bit of leniency and makes it a little bit easier to get VA loans accepted in the market.
But you can't buy a piece of crap, because the Veterans Administration appreciates your service and they want you to have a decent house. And we run into that all the time. Now, personally, I think the Veterans Administration should take it one step further and allow these veterans to have a rehab loan.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was nominal, like if you could say every VA loan allowed for 5% additional financed holdback. What that would look like is, so VA loans are 100% financing, so all the veterans have to pay for is closing costs. In some cases, those can be credited anyways from the lender or the seller. But a holdback is where you hold money back and you the escrow company hold on to it. So that's $20,000, let's say, if it's a $400,000 home, we do 5%, $20,000. And that goes directly towards paying for necessary repairs or improvements. And that would, one, make it a lot easier for VA loans to get accepted, and two, they'd probably have some equity in the house after they do these upgrades and repairs if you gave 5% to go towards necessary qualified repairs and improvements. It would also make homes more livable. So yeah, a lot of benefits to that, and once Valerie becomes president and I get appointed director of HUD, that's going to happen. But until then, all we can do is hope, I guess.
Yeah, and then it's like you see a bunch of Secret Service guys hanging around out front of a beer bar, going, "Where's POTUS?" And they're like, "Inside."
Don't let the cameras in. Yeah.
Your future.
Yeah, she won't be taking any questions at the moment. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in and watching today. If you're a Concordian, come and spend your time here in the afternoons, have a beer, spread the word. This is a new place. They have
Garage
great beer on tap.
It's nice.
Garage Doors, it's a great place to hang out. You'll really enjoy it. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Take care.